Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. Today, brothers and sisters, we want to continue again with chapter 27. And the previous ayat we were talking about where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning His creation and how He created everything. And how He created everything in with a calculated measure, with a perfect design, with the intelligence, excellence. Everything have been put in a way where we can enjoy, we can live, we can function. Brothers and sisters, we have to understand one very important aspect. The earth is being put in this specific place between, we have a Milky Way, and this is our galaxy. You have the sun. Earth is in the middle of these 9 planets. Why? We have to understand that this is because we cannot, as a human being, you are too much heat, you're gonna die. Too much cold, you're gonna freeze and you're gonna die. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have put in everything for your survival. Second thing is the compatibility of the creation with the things Allah have created. What that mean? If you have a car and you went to the gas station, instead of putting gas, you put diesel. What will happen to your car? Your car will not gonna move because you put the wrong fuel. And this is what happens. Allah, even in His design, when He designed this earth, He made sure that there is abundance of oxygen. Because your lungs, He have made them. He have made that engine, which is utilized. We can say this is a small engine here. It's the lungs utilize oxygen. And as we see, and every doctor knows, when there's any problem in your lungs, that can affect the whole body because oxygen cannot go inside. Oxygen cannot be utilized. So why oxygen? Because this is Allah have made the oxygen outside and is the only one can be used inside. So there is compatibility here. On the other hand, He made the plants. He made the plants, and He made all these trees and all this greenery to do what? To do the other way around, to take the carbon dioxide, which we exhale, and bring out oxygen for us to be able to function. Imagine if we cannot use oxygen, or if we have a problem utilizing. People now, you see a lot of old people using an oxygen tank. He can't use anything else. He has to use oxygen. But that is how his body was designed. So the external with the internal, it shows you that there is one originator, one creator, one entity have made these two. The same thing like you have a cell phone, an Apple phone. You cannot get a Samsung charger and use it with an Apple phone. Why? Because the originator, the manufacturer, has only one specific charger, which will go to that phone. He doesn't want you to use his competitor charger. So that's the same thing. The one who made the phone is the one who's making the charger. So they will both be used together. And you'll see this kind of compatibility in a lot of different examples, in a lot of different things in our life, like our vision. You only because of the sunlight comes. That's what your eyes can use. If you put yourself in a room which has ultraviolet, or in a room which has any other light or dark, you cannot see. So everything is done with measurement, accuracy. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to function in the best way possible. And why is this? Why Allah wants us to function in the best way possible? Number one, so our brain will function in the best way possible. When our brain function and we shows the human intellect, the primary purpose of that human intellect is to do what? Is to know the Creator, is to know, recognize Him, the one who's behind the scenes, the one who created me, created you, created everything, and to understand that He has a purpose. If that entity, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, if with all this purpose, with all this intelligence, with all this paying attention to detail, He probably and most likely and actually He needs something out of there. He needs something to be done. He needs some tasks. He needs something from us. And you'll come and you'll understand that once you know Him, once you understand His intelligence, that He's perfect, and He's behind everything, you understand that you have to obey Him, that you have to surrender to Him, that you have to do everything He asks you to do, because He is so powerful, He is so capable, He is so able, He is so great, that you or me or no human being ever exist or will exist can even challenge or can do anything to take anything from His majesty, from His power, from His kingship, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And from there in the heart start to the belief. And when the belief start to come, you start to ask, why, Ya Allah? What you want from me? And you start to believe in that book fully and become certain that this book is the truth. And just follow what He asks you and asks me to do on the tongue of who? Of His Prophet Muhammad, the last prophet He have brought to the human being. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ended that verse number 61, by saying, بَلْ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. The majority of the people, they didn't go deep. They didn't understood that I am behind everything, that I have did this for their comfort, for them to function, for them to be able to live, for them to be able to enjoy life. But on the other side, I need them to know me, worship, obey me. That's basically it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the majority of the people didn't go deep to understand. They don't even, a lot of time, right now, the people are just so far from religion. They don't want to understand. They don't want to go and think what I'm here for. They just think like everything has just happened in randomness. And again, the start, you see with all these prophets, with all these messengers, they're human like us. Before they even became messengers and prophets, what happened is they're questioned what's around them. Once they start to question what's around you, what you do, what you're supposed to do, you are on the right track. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us here to ask, question everything around you. Question every belief you have taken and been passed through generation. You have to question. And from there, you'll come to the conclusion which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, the only God exists, the only God will exist. And his prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last prophet. And his Quran, the book of Allah, is the last book which will be revealed. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after talking to us about all these signs, all these things He have made for us, the mountains, the sun, the earth, the heavens and everything, He comes to us as a human being. And He's talking to us even here, even the non-believer. A lot of times they call when everything is already, when they are in the middle of the sea and there is no help, there is nothing, and there is a current and there is a waves, they're gonna die. The only shelter, the only place, the only call they can make is to Allah, to God. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who answers? The one who is in need. An urge, al-muttar means the one in an urgent need. إِذَا دَعَى. See, from His mercy, from His love to us as a humans, that even if we are not even believing Him and giving His due rights, He will relieve. He will relieve the difficulty. He will relieve the agony. He will relieve the hardship from the people who ask for the relief. إِذَا دَعَى. Whenever they called Him, upon Him, even if they're not believer. وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. And He elevate the harm. وَيَجْعَلُكُمْ خُلَفَاءَ. And make you successors on earth. You make you one generation comes up after one generation. And how this happens? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing room. Trust me, brothers and sisters, this is a testing room. New generation comes. So new people, students coming for the exam, others leave. New come, others leave. This is how new people born, others die. And this is how He has, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He makes this testing room happen. And at the end, He will bring everybody back. And for accountability. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, so He's the one who, with all of this, so you can live. You become successors. You succeed, one group comes after another group on earth. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of this verse is asking, after all what I do, after all what I have provided you with as a human, أَإِلَهٌ مَعَ اللَّهِ. Is there really another God with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Of course, a lot of people at this time and age, they make gods. They made their leaders gods. They made their nationalism God. They make their family members God. They make themselves with their arrogance, with their ego, gods. They make other gods with Allah. They made Jesus, Isa, alayhi salam, God. They make cows, they make idols, they make so many things. Gods. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, I am the one who does all of this. And you taking other gods? If there is any God with me? Of course not. He is the Almighty Allah. قَلِيلًا مَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Indeed, the ayah before He said, the majority don't know. The majority don't know and they don't want to know and they're not doing the effort to No. And then at the end of here he said, قَلِيلًا مَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. And this is that the majority of them, they don't want to remember. And they don't want to remember, and they forget. That's why they fall. They forget. Just in a small amount of time they remember, but then the majority of the time they forget. That's why we have all these injustices going on. That's why we have all these rights have been taken away. That is what's happening right here. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the one who does this? You have to understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the different ayat in the Quran, he said, أَلَمْ أَعْهَدْ إِلَيْكُمْ يَا بَنِي آدَمْ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا الشَّيْطَانِ. I have already told you, O sons of Adam, do not obey the devil. So the devil is in his interest is to do what? Number one, to keep you away from science and knowledge and understanding of why you are here, what you're supposed to do, and what's going to happen to you. Number two, the devil all the time wants you to forget. Forget that you're supposed to pray. Forget you're supposed to give charity. Forget that you're supposed to be nice. Forget that you're supposed to act justly. That's the devil. So if we try to do, number one, seeking knowledge, primarily knowing about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will be guided. Number two, mentioning, memorizing, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our everyday life by acting righteously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide us to the truth. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين.